Hello everybody, Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas. Interesting video today. I want to, I'll probably name it Save Our Children, or hashtag Save Our Children. And it come from a video that I saw and shared on my Facebook, and which is pretty sad. And then I have a write-up that goes with it. But here's what this wrote. Disturbing. Children rescued from being trafficked. Look at the little boys. They can't walk, barely breathe. They've been packed into that oil tanker for how long? This is not a conspiracy. This is only happening because there's a huge market for it, a multi-billion-dollar market. This should worry everybody. Hashtag Save Our Children. And so here, I'm just going to show you a part of this. It looks like it's in a foreign country, but this is a worldwide problem. I'm going to skip ahead here because I don't want to watch the whole video. It's an oil tanker. And so, anyways, and now we're going to get on to here on what I wrote, and which I just pivoted off that because I think there's probably a connection here with child sex trafficking. Obviously, we have that problem in America. The press has covered it up, and they cover up like the crimes here. You have homeowners all across the nation reporting people in the attic. I'm ambushed and shot, cold-blooded murders, what that was, with burglar alarms going on my attic, and the press hides that from the public. They're endangering you and your family, and they care less about your kids. I think that's real obvious. It's real possible kids are involved in this too, and I'm going to show you as we go through here. The first thing I wrote here, on March 14, 2013, I emailed the Department of Justice, and I suggested that somebody look in the underground facility here for the clues in the disappearance of the then missing 13-year-old Haley Dunn, a cheerleader from Colorado City, Texas, which is 80 miles from Midland. That was a famous, nationally known case. It's been compared to John Bonet Ramsey. Millions of people knew who Haley Dunn was, and it was very close to here in Midland. Okay, and I wrote, and this is what I wrote to the Department of Justice. I said, maybe she is being held underground by these sex slavers right now. Her remains were found 2 days later in Scurry County after being missing for over 2 years. And now there's a dozen people documented saying that she's killed and or buried near Odessa, which is Ector County. Okay, so here what I'm saying, let that sink in. I write the Department of Justice, and I suggest they look in these $1 million underground homes here by my house that's believed to be connected to multiple murders, and 2 days later her remains just happened to be found. She'd been missing for over 2 years, and they're just happened to be found in Scurry County. And now there's a dozen people documented saying that Haley was killed in Odessa or near Odessa, which is Ector County. And that's another story that the press has hidden from the public. And it's one thing for me to tell you that, but it's another thing when I take a print screen of the email that was sent on March 14, 2013, and here she was found on March 16, 2013. Okay, 2 days later, exactly like I said. Part of my email, I said I have overwhelming evidence to suggest the allegation of an underground facility. Maybe she is being held by sex slavers under my home right now. And so this video isn't about the murder of this little girl, Haley Dunn, but I think it does go into the subject of Save Our Children. Okay, and should be public outrage about that. The reason I mentioned sex slavers is because my friend Angie told me about a young girl that was murdered at a 2010 oil show party believed to have been held in these underground homes, said to be here by multiple people, including a recent candidate for sheriff. That was Joe Lozano. He was running for sheriff earlier this year, and I secretly recorded him telling me that our last sheriff, Painter, that these underground homes was his hideout, and that's a YouTube video. Angie said that she heard this girl crying because she didn't want to prostitute for these sex slavers or human traffickers. The remains of a 14 to 21-year-old girl were found outside of Midland in 2013, and I believe it seems obvious that that is the girl murdered at the oil show party. And I think the reason that it looks like nobody cares, nobody is trying to solve the murder of this little 14-year-old little girl that's found outside of Midland. There's been one news story in 7-8 years about it, and there's so much evidence here. They should have exposed some underground facilities a long time ago. That shows you they don't care about the murder of this child, okay? And so here's another, the little print screen I took was from Jessica Lee Hadley. And she says, I've been 2,000 on oil shows, and I tell you what, there's more than just one that's been murdered or raped because she didn't do whatever they wanted her to do. And she goes on talking about this police officer over in Odessa. Okay, and then there's also, I put a link to this video here that's called on December 13, 2014. The 2010 oil show party murder, and that's that's talking about, and there's plenty of evidence in there. I just released the name of my friend that told me that about the girl being murdered, Angie Mungia Hurley. She was leaving my house and at the party in 5 minutes. I know that because we were talking on the cell phone while she drove. I believe she drove around the Home Depot parking lot, somewhere over there, went underground, come back in the tunnel that you could see on Google Maps coming back towards my house. I showed Homeland Security, who's supposed to take care of human trafficking, right? Showed them where I thought that tunnel was last year, and 2 weeks later the ground was dug up and concrete was being poured. And so 3 months after that, Secretary of Homeland resigns, and a week after that, the Secretary of Energy, Rick Perry, resigns. And I think it was all because they were covering, I think they might have had some kind of connection covering up this capital murder. And you can see where people at oil shows, oil companies, billionaires, billion-dollar companies might have some influence over the Secretary of Energy and the Secretary of Homeland Security, and they don't want the public finding out some little girl was murdered at a party they had going on in secret underground homes or facilities. Okay, 2010 oil show party murder. That's all speculation, but we should be investigating that, and because this is very serious crimes here. Okay. Moving on. On another day, I found a Lego toy on top of my HVAC filter that fit up in my attic. And since I change out these filters every few months, I knew it was recent. I was suspecting that children were being sold to the truckers that were coming night and day without unloading freight. I saw a young girl at the sleeper cab of an 18-wheeler, and 2 store employees with Home Depot told me about prostitution going on behind their store. I believe that is connected with the multiple murders and said to have happened at this home. Okay, and so I first reported something in my attic in January 2011. A year later, January 28, 2012, I'm ambushed and shot, reporting burglar alarms going on in my attic. I made 100 videos of burglar alarms going on in my attic, every kind of alarm system, including a Vivint alarm system. Vivint dispatched the police to my attic twice. I saw a young Hispanic guy, and now I've documented homeowners all over Midland, Odessa, and Texas and other states reporting people in the attic. I mean, this ain't a what if, could be, it's a mouse, it's a bug, whatever. These are people. They've rigged this home with hidden access, and these are people, and it's people in them other homes. I believe it's connected to human trafficking, sex trafficking, child sex trafficking, etc. But I did take a picture of that day of this Lego toy on top of that filter, and you can see where that filter fits up into my attic. Now there's a flex pipe on the top side of this, goes into in the unit, okay, on the attic side, and the insulation been torn off that. I don't know, me and the ex-wife fixed it one time. You come back later and it's tore back off, and I don't know if they were using it, one, for entrance, or two, because of to cool off the attic, but for whatever reason they were obviously pulling off that flex pipe that's on top of that, and that's when whoever was in my attic dropped this toy. And because it's a toy, that's where I'm thinking it was a child. So I tear gassed my attic. I mean, it's like I look back thinking, I could have killed one of them kids that here, and what are they doing with them? They were trafficking them. They were selling them to them truckers that were coming 24/7 and never unloading freight. parade out back. It was like a truck stop here with lot lizards, and and I believe the people in the attic were going down underground. They're going over to the truckers, coming back over, and this was going on 24/7. Of course, a lot of that stopped because of videos and publicity and worldwide recognition. Millions of views, and where they stopped. But they're still breaking this house, and why are they breaking this house? Because there's a $1 million underground home in the backyard. Right, that's where it's believed that little girl was murdered. Okay, and then I went on here and I say, if you're reading this, you're going, oh, I can't believe that. That doesn't happen in Midland. Nothing like that happens here. Then what do you have to say about a crime victim that's forced to offer a $2,000 reward to get police identified that were caught on camera minutes after home invasion and capital murder attempt? And that's only one example. This is like the first time in the history of America a crime victim offered a reward to identify police, right? Took 6 years, 6 years of break-ins to my house, death threats, and people coming to me going, I'd sell that home if I was you. And of course, they don't want me to just sell the home. They want to choose the price. They want to try to terrorize me from my home at the price they set. And why? Because this home is rigged, just like I said. It is connected to multiple murders, and I have a feeling it's connected to child sex trafficking. And and these were right pictures from I found on my cameras after I returned from the hospital, crippled for life during a home invasion, premeditated capital murder attempt. I was shot by surprise with my phone lines cut, and then it might have been one of these people in here was the shooter. First two that showed up on video where it was Martin County Sheriff John Woodward and the late Sheriff Deputy Mike Naylor. And so nobody's ever explained why a sheriff from a different county is at my home minutes after a capital murder attempt, after I'm shot by surprise in my home. I believe they were under my home when I was shot, And then Naylor dies in the line of duty at 2014. The public has never been told that Naylor was a secret police that had a reward offered for him. That is what the press is doing. The press is a major player in organized crime and covering this up and helping it all, make it all work, and maybe they're getting some of the kickback money, It's a $32 billion industry selling children. These were the police caught inside my home. This one here is wearing a Midland K9 police jacket. Chad Simpson murders his wife, kills himself 2 months after Naylor died. Now you have two secret police dead and a policeman's wife, all connected to the capital murder attempt. My life believes connected to the murder of little girl at the oil show party and the murder of the last homeowner. And then they were all named 6 years later by a private investigator that collected the reward money. Rosie Rodriguez, April Chandler, Tony Dickey, Greg Chatwell, Greg Nelson, Marty Barrett, Chad Simpson, Mike Naylor, Mark Gilliam, Michael Glick, John Woodward. And here they are busted as busted can be. Not one of them has an ounce of integrity to come forward and try to stop these crimes. Okay, here's the next one. And if you can say, I can't believe that, or nothing like that ever happens here, then what do you say about me being ambushed and shot by somebody in my home with burglar alarms going on my attic, and then finding many other homeowners reporting people in the attic? Okay, this is a list of addresses of just here in Midland, Odessa, and it's not even complete because I've recorded 2 more in the last couple months of here in Midland, right off my police scanner. And I talked to one of them women where it was reporting somebody in the attic multiple times to the police. She told me the police laughed at her. And of course, she thought she's the only person this happening to, thanks to the press, has been covering up these crimes, And there was a guy I talked to this week that, he hears about, what's going on and gets on my Facebook and everything. And he's got people in his attic. And once again, he's got people calling him crazy. And he told me, wrote just within this week, said, man, I've slept for the first time, just because he knew that what's going on. And now he knows that they're rigging these homes, private homes with hidden access, and it's part of this racketeering, organized crime, human trafficking is what it is, And so look at all these addresses. Might be one of your neighbors, and very possibly it's going on in your house and you don't even know it yet. I lived here 2 years before I figured it out. There's also a link to a video here that I think, this is the short one. No, this is the long one, the people in the attic here. And these are the police scanner videos I love.
No, like I said, they've been here more.
That's where I'm talking to Vivint. There's an address over in Odessa. And I got so many of them emails, stories, people telling me. I mean, so many I've lost track. It's going on all over the country, and so and I think it's all connected together. Can you see what a perfect place this is to smuggle for smuggling drugs, weapons, or humans between here and Mexico? It's totally secluded trucking lane, believed to have tunnels to $1 million underground homes. Okay, and this is a 50,000 foot view is what I call it. Okay, and I'll show you. Here's my home over here. This little cul-de-sac, and this is where I was ambushed and shot after reporting multiple burglaries. I was shot during a burglary after reporting multiple burglaries, and very possible it was some corrupt police that tried to murder me in my home because I was reporting burglaries. And here's a secluded truck unloading lane behind Home Depot, okay? Alley, line of trees, okay? And if you look, I'm zooming out, you see here's Target over here, okay, and here's Midland Drive over here. Okay, where you're driving down Midland Drive, you look over, all you see is Home Depot. You can't see back there. It's totally secluded. That's where these truckers were coming in 24/7. I mean, it was the holidays, nights, weekends. The store wouldn't be open, and they wasn't manned back then in 2012. And I mean, this right here was like a truck stop. Afternoons, trucks lined up, nobody unloading freight. And it's real obvious the people in the attic were going over here, meeting the truckers and coming back. It was they were running a business is what they were doing right here in the middle of Midland. And it also could have been drugs or weapons, money. With underground homes here, then it could be a lot of things. This woman gave me specific details to the underground homes. Okay, this is just one of the many people, right?
About the pizza parties. They said they're not called pizza parties, but I know what you're talking about.
Right, the pedophile parties.
Yes.
And then and see, a couple of weeks, you probably read all this before, but a couple of weeks after I got out of the hospital, that ex-wife comes by my home, and she says, "You don't know how many lives you ruined with your idiocy." And of course, my idiocy was staying home and minding my own business. I'm shot inside my home. And but what she was saying was a lot of people were here, and they're going to have their lives ruined. And
do you know about how many feet that gun pushed through?
That
ground it was, because he said that these houses are 25 feet under, at least 25 exactly.
Okay, and so specific details, there's not just one home, it's 4 homes, and they're not 2-bedroom, they're 3-bedroom, and they're not 24 foot deep, they're at least 25 foot deep, and then I got another woman that told me she worked on this project. It had a budget of $7.35 million. It was called the Safe House Project, and it was finished in 1987, and that she believed the Bushes were involved, and George Sr. was the vice president at the time, and this is the hometown of the Bushes. So you can see kind of how safe houses, the vice president, maybe they were put in with government money, and then now they're used for child sex trafficking, or were, before they tried to murder me. Google Maps shows a large facility in my background that isn't seen from above ground, so obviously this is one of the 4 underground homes. I believe it's where the young girl was murdered at during the 2010 oil show parties. Okay. Those parties are famous, put on by multi-millionaires. Everybody from here's heard about them. And where do they go on? I think this is one place right here. Okay, go to Google Maps, maps.google.com, look up 3802 Fair Circle, Midland, Texas, my address, and then just switch between the map view and the satellite view and look in my backyard. You see a large 3-bedroom underground facility in my backyard, but you look at above ground, it's not there. So I guess that 3-bedroom underground home is buried. Yep, that's what I'm thinking. That's one of the underground homes, one of the safe houses, right in my backyard, and just the dot points were the different proofs. Rodney Denman Rogers, tells me this. Layla told me this. The woman on the phone said this. Sheriff candidate said Sheriff Painter used to hang out here. And so there's just tons of this evidence pointing at here. But as I said a while ago, the press is covering it from you. That looks like we have a police corruption problem, public corruption. And, it's not just the police, and I mean, they take their orders from the mayor and the city council, right? And you don't hear the city council and mayor saying anything about the murdered little girl, anything about underground homes, oil show parties, nothing about, killing one homeowner after another, me being shot my home or having to offer a reward to identify the police. Nothing, So I mean, it's public officials. There's a lot. I think a lot of bribing's going on. Yesterday there was a story about suspected bribes for the attorney general. And I think oil companies would have a lot of money. I'm guessing that this was the girl at the oil show party, which Angie told me about, and I believe she was closer to 14 than 21. See, because what it says here, unidentified human remains were discovered near an oil field location 10 miles out of Midland, female, white or Hispanic, 14 to 21, time of death, 59 to 67 inches tall. Homicide is suspected. This is in 2013, and my friend Angie told me about a young girl murdered in 2010, a little girl that nobody seems to be trying to care about. The press did one story about it years ago, and that was it. Here you got a 14-year-old murdered little girl, and ain't nobody talking about it. I think they all know it was the little girl at the oil show party, right? Because a lot of people are going to know about them oil show parties. Evidence shows that on the day of the murder attempt, and that's in 2012, okay, January 2012, I unknowingly trapped a burglar in my guest bathroom when I tie-wired my spare door shut after reporting repeated burglaries to the police. And looking back, I wonder if it could have been a child, the child that dropped the Lego toy in my attic. Maybe the sex slavers tried to kill me because they were concerned they were going to lose the revenue from selling this child to perverts over and over and over again. And that's a what if could be, but it makes sense if you look at at the evidence found, right? Lego toy in the attic. Two people at Home Depot said prostitution going back there, multiple murders there, and then what proof shows these pry marks on the inside top door jamb. That's what told me that I had unknowingly trapped a burglar in this bathroom on the day, and that might have been, part of their motive for murder was because of this trapped burglar. And so I just took it one step further, and what if it was one of them children like that to drop the Lego toy that they were selling to them truckers, right? And they were going to lose all that revenue. They were worried about selling that child. They're not worried about murdering the guy that's reporting burglaries, where they rigging private homes. And this is nurse's notes minutes after I shot. And one of the reasons I put it in here because I said in a closet, there is a voice recorder recording what is happening. The alarms kept going off. There are sirens going off. And let's see, I was tie-wiring my doors to keep them out. Okay. And so, that I tie-wire the door, and we're going to read a little bit more about tie-wiring that doors here in a minute. Okay. What if MBD officers Davis, Dickey, Chatwell, Angel, and Hale tried to murder me inside my home because they wanted to free this trapped child which they were trafficking? Maybe that was their business. There has to be a logical reason why they were sneaking into a private home to kill a citizen who had been reporting crimes to them, right? And that's, suspecting that they're the ones the shooter. We don't have no proof of who the shooter is, but a strong suspicion that some police officers were. And so this is the police report that was illegally hidden from me for 7 years. It was subpoenaed. I mean, they violated the subpoena to hide this report from me. And obviously, why? Because it had incriminating evidence. And once I did get a hold of it 7 years later, what I see here is that 5 police officers, Davis, Dickey, Chatwell, Angel, and Hale, were at or in my home, and they wasn't seen arriving on the security cameras that saw Woodward and Naylor 4 minutes earlier. Because right here at 11:05, Dickey is in my home. He's inside my home, but he wasn't showing up on these cameras. And that's the camera, and the camera wasn't disabled until 11:22. That's 11:05. So if he showed up on my front door and went in the door, then he would have been seen, and he wasn't. That's how I know they come in from the underground of the hidden trapdoor entrance that the ex-wife had already said was here, and the evidence shows I had been shot from. Because the evidence is clear. I wasn't shot with my gun, and we know where I was shot at, so we know where the trap door was at. And so now it's covered up, and that's believed it was covered up right after I was shot. They were trying to cover up this failed murder, as what they were doing. And so there's your top suspects for being the would-be killers right there. Davis, Dickey, Chatwell, Angel, and Hale. And then, of course, Woodward and Naylor were probably with them. They just happened to show up out front, right? I figured they were under my house. And also, I would say the same thing about Rodriguez and Chandler, okay? Shannon Jeter told me, buddy, cops can kill you and get away with it. Stop publicizing their business and you go buy you another home. And then also tie wire your door shut and it will slow them down. Okay, and that's where I was saying a minute ago, reason I put that one note in there from the nurse's note about tie wiring my door shut, and tie wiring my door shut's what trapped that burglar, maybe a child, right? Maybe one of the children, and that they're trafficking, and that's what we're guessing. But Shannon Jeter mentions that tie wire, so that tie wire was real important. You may be used for a motive for murder. But then the big thing is, what is these cops' business that they murder citizens in their homes for? You know, what is their business selling children to truckers? You know, and so here, you know, not Buddy said, Shannon said, I got the print screen right here. Cops can kill you and get away with it. Stop publicizing their business, and you go buy another home. And then he makes it a point to let me know that the DA is dirty too. You know, the DA ain't going to help you there. You know, she probably taking bribes too. You know, it's my guess. You know, I mean, how do you justify it? And then also bigger people than you can ever perceive. And, you know, and I think we're talking about wealthy people, you know, and you know, maybe oil company owners, etc., right? And then I think I'm going to close this out with, I can think of 32 billion reasons why, which might make a cop with no morals decide to get involved in sex trafficking business. Remember, he said stop publicizing their business, right? And did I publicize their business again? And so this is right here from one of the sex trafficking, anti-sex trafficking websites. And statistics, human trafficking has surpassed the illegal sale of arms. A $32 billion a year industry. Human trafficking is on the rise in all 50 states. Average victim age is 11 to 14. Remember the 14-year-old girl, 14 to 21. Average lifespan of victim is reported to be 7 years, found dead from attack, abuse, HIV, and other STDs, malnutrition, overdose, or suicide. And so, you know, these are some very serious questions that need to be answered, and we need to find some real law enforcement that isn't trying to cover up these capital crimes and stop this. I mean, it's just to the point of absurdity with the amount of evidence that's here. They're breaking in rigged homes all over the country. Somebody needs to do something about it. This is Buddy Webb. Save our children.